Hi guys, PrinceofMacedon here, doing a Napoleon Total War online battle. This is the France versus Britain battle. I command the French, and my opponent is Snoopy in command of the British. We'll look at my troops first. I've got my skirmishers right here, and they are backed up by my fusiliers. And I have two teams of the 6-inch howitzers, and they are going to lead the advance. I'm going to give them a head start, let them draw the fire of my opponent's artillery. Over on my left flank, this is the maneuver element of my army. And typically they maneuver. There we go. I've got 3 units of fusiliers over here on this side. And for this battle, this time I brought the most elite horse units. These are the carabiners. And I have 2 squadrons of these guys. They are the best of the best of the best of the best. Alright, and for this battle I had to bring back Monsieur Napoleon. There he is. And he rides atop his white horse. Alright, let's go look at the British Army commanded by Snoopy. He has 4 teams of these fencibles. Those are regular foot units. Then he has one 6-pounder horse artillery team. Then he has a rocket team, and let's see what these guys do. Yes, they launch rockets. Then he has a howitzer to his left, and his general is right here with the general staff. Then he has 4 units of these regular foot infantry, and then he has a light foot infantry unit, and then some guard infantry, and then these Highlander foot units. And right there in the back is another foot unit. Alright, my opponent also has 2 dragoons and 1 light dragoon squadron. And as I said at the beginning of the battle, I was advancing my artillery in advance of my army. And my opponent took advantage of that by charging into my advanced artillery team. And I didn't realize how far my infantry was from my artillery, but I was hoping that just having them close by would intimidate my opponent. But it's hard to be intimidated by computer graphics. Anyways, I'm going to put my skirmishers up here and put them in range of his horses. Then I'm going to shoot at his horses. And that's my grand strategy right there. Okay, and the result of his horse raid is he scared off one of my howitzers, so that was a very good thing for my opponent. And I had Napoleon on my far left, leading the maneuver element of my army, so I didn't bother bringing him up here to rally my team. Anyways, I did bring my carabiners to my right flank, but it was too late by the time they got there. And this is my left flank. This is where my maneuver element is going to be. And the aim of my strategy here is to fix my opponent in the front with the rest of my army, and then use these guys to attack my opponent from the left. And 5 minutes later, you can see I'm ascending this hill where my opponent is defending. And my opponent did bring these fencibles away from the hilltop because my artillery was blasting them. But when he sees my maneuver element coming to strike him from the side, this is when he brings back his fencibles to meet my advance on the left. And that's actually his right. And behind my column, I have Napoleon bringing up the rear, but also behind Napoleon, I have the British dragoons chasing after my general. Alright, this is a close-up of my skirmishers, and my opponent switched his artillery to the canister shot, so it's good for a close range. Alright, finally, this is the moment of truth. This is my left flank, and I had trouble microing my troops here. See, they're only walking, but I could have sworn I had them running when I got up here. But alas, they are just walking. Now they're running. Alright, here's Napoleon, and look in the back, you can see my opponent's dragoons. And they're chasing after my emperor. And that's a good reason to buy this game, because how many games do you get to chase Napoleon in? Alright, finally I brought my skirmishers up. And I'm going to shoot it out with my opponent up here. And this is basically my fixing force. I want to fix my opponent's attention while I strike from the flank here. But basically I can achieve my breakthrough at any point. I don't really care where it happens, as long as it happens. But here I'm going up against fencibles, and hopefully my fusiliers can take out these low-grade troops.
Sir, our general is under attack!
And you hear that? That is the sound of my advisor. Apparently I can't live without this guy. Alright, there's my general, being chased by his dragoons, and yes, my advisor was correct, he's being attacked. I wish my advisor would tell me that the enemy is shooting at my troops. That would be extra helpful. Alright, here's Monsieur Napoleon trying to get away from these dragoons. And I have my fusiliers nearby to help out my emperor. And they immediately form in a square, and that's going to scare away his dragoons. but my opponent took his other squadron of dragoons, and he crashed right into the middle of my left flank here, from behind. So my guys are starting to panic and rout, and I tried to get them into square, but they didn't get there in time. And in the background you can see my carabiners. Those are my elite horsemen. They are coming over to support my left wing advance. Here they are.
Our men are running, sir.
And at about this point, I was hoping I could put my advisor into another language, so I wouldn't understand what he was saying every freaking time. Okay, here comes my carabiners, as I said, and they are excited for this. They love to fight. Alright, my opponent's still shooting his rockets. I'm not sure what he's shooting at anymore, because most of my guys are up here, except for my howitzer. But I don't care if he shoots my howitzer. Alright, here comes the advance and charge of my carabiners. I'm gonna smack into these riflemen. And those riflemen aren't gonna last too long in this kind of fight. And I took my other carabiners and I'm going to countercharge his dragoons who were attacking my infantry. So they got their sabers drawn, and now they're going to do battle with dragoons. So his dragoons rout almost immediately. But on the left flank you can see I have pretty much driven out his troops opposing me there. So my left wing attack has been successful. All I gotta do is swing them over to the center and cash in on my maneuver. And again, here are my carabiners. They send to glory on this battlefield. They see the enemy general and they're gonna go right for him. And this is probably not the kind of behavior that an aristocrat would expect. But these guys aren't aristocrats, they just want to fight. So we're going to take out these dudes here, wearing these nice uniforms. And while I'm zooming in, you can watch the maneuvers on the mini-map, you can see what's going on. Alright, my opponent brought back one of his foot units here. And he's going to go right for my carabiners, but in the very back you can see my fusiliers are shooting his foot units from behind. So I don't mind losing my carabiners at this point, because they've done a lot. And here's my other team of carabiners. They have been knocking out the enemy's skirmishers. And you can see my opponent is getting corralled into the center of the hilltop here. And I'm going to squeeze in on all sides. And once again here, this is my other team of carabiners. They are knocking out these fencibles. If those were regular foot units, I probably would not have charged them like that, but because they were fencibles, I decided to try to take them out and demoralize them. And you can see my opponent is redeploying his army, so I'm going to keep constricting him from all sides. And did you notice that blast? That didn't come from the Death Star, that came from my howitzer. So I have to take my guy out of artillery mode and bring him up a little closer. But my opponent is still holding his ground here, and here are my carabiners coming from behind my opponent's troops, and look who we see again. We see his general. Somehow his general keeps slipping out of my reach here, so I'm gonna keep chasing him until I get him. So let's see. Okay, when my opponent saw me going for his general, he actually turned his infantry around and started shooting at my horsemen. That was a mistake, because my infantry is right behind his guys. So while he's shooting my horsemen, I'm shooting his guys from behind too. And I don't care losing horsemen at this point. I'm more concerned about his infantry and keeping my infantry alive. So look at his dudes falling. And he sees what's going on. He's going to get out of there as soon as he can. But you can see that my opponent has a he has good micro, but he's making some questionable choices with his decisions here. But he has good unit control. Alright, so we are, this is my right flank, and I've got my guy shooting at his dudes routing. I don't want them coming back into battle. And my opponent's Highlanders are still standing their ground, and we'll do a little close-up of these guys, because I really like their uniforms, and I think you guys would too. Okay, again here are my carabiners, and we see some riflemen, so we're going to charge into them. And I really like chasing skirmishers with my horse units. I guess it's fun. Okay. My opponent's Highlanders are breaking now. Now my opponent is down to 3 infantry units, and I think he still has a his general somewhere.
Our men are running, sir.
And I can't believe one of my troops are actually running at this point. But they are. I'll shoot them later. Okay, and this is an overhead of the situation. And right here I'm bringing Napoleon up. And I'm just going to keep him nearby, just because he looks really cool. There he is. He's got the nice looking hat and the trench coat. And finally I got my artillery redeployed. And now they're not shooting at my troops anymore. And this is the last stand of his last infantry unit. And we're just going to duke it out. But his guys finally break. You can see in the back he has one more flag back there. And I don't think that's his general. I think it's another infantry unit. But they're starting to break now, because my carabiners are nearby. So I think that's it. Anyways, there's the results. Hope you guys enjoyed this battle. Good game to my opponent.